When I was in high school, my dad married an abusive alcoholic. They dated for just 2 months before getting married. Once they tied the knot, she became abusive. She hit him one night and he filed for divorce. She pleaded with him and he said he'd give her another chance if she got sober. So she did for about a month. But since she knew she couldn't get away with attacking him, she tested the waters with me. And she quickly found out that there were 0 consequences when it was directed at me. It started with verbal abuse, then escalated to physical abuse, hitting me, slapping me. One night she put her hands around my throat. I begged my dad to intervene, but he always came up with some excuse for why I started it. He hated confrontation. Eventually, I moved out and went to college. When the first holiday came around, the idea of going home made me ill. I'd since been formally diagnosed with a trauma disorder that is the result of her behavior. So, at the encouragement of a friend, I called my aunt. I disclosed to her that I was terrified to come home. She said she would protect me and that I wouldn't need to be around my stepmother. That was a lie. When I arrived for Turkey Day, my stepmother was there. We went out to eat. She started drinking, and eventually the restaurant had to call the police. My uncle made a joke that, "Wow, she really went after you this time, huh?" I was humiliated. That was a theme every time I went home. So, over the next few years, I slowly came home less. My family knew why, but they just would shrug and say, would be awkward to ban her from family events. Just ignore her. It's difficult to ignore someone that assaults you. It hurt. Every year, I would see pictures of them hanging out during Christmas and Thanksgiving. They looked happy. I missed my family but grew distant from them. I missed family reunions and milestone events because the second she found out I might come, she made it a point to be there, and it got nasty every time. So I just stopped altogether. I also saw my cousins develop deep relationships with my aunt and uncles, which I honestly was jealous of. I felt like I had been cheated out of substantive family relationships simply because they all hated confrontation. Well, fast forward to a month ago, and my dad died. I went home, and as expected, my stepmother got drunk and tried to start a fight with me. I left shortly after the funeral. Last week, I received a phone call from my aunt. She was asking about my plans for the holidays since she wanted to make sure she had enough food on hand. She added that she assumed I'd finally be there since stepmother was out of the picture. She even added that the family was excited that they'd now get to see me more often. I was almost insulted. I told her that no, I don't plan on coming home. I also told her that it was likely I never would and that the last 20 years affected my relationship with them. I told her that she likely wouldn't see me again and that I wished her well. I was very calm but clear. Well, my uncle left me a message yesterday. He gave me the usual, "You only have one family." What are we supposed to do? It would be sad for you to cut yourself off, etc. This is our chance to reconnect. We love you. I have plans to speak to him tomorrow, and I have no idea what to say. Am I being unreasonable? Should I give them a second chance? Am I punishing them for something she did? I have no idea what to do. Thank you all so much. I'm overwhelmed by all the support and kindness. I'm going to step away for the night to do some additional processing. I texted my uncle and told him I'm not ready to talk and will contact him when and if I'm ready. Surprisingly, he respected that. Read this twice and I'll give you my own advice. If they loved you as much as you deserved and you should have been loved, you wouldn't have had to deal with her. From the first time you spoke to your aunt, they may be blood, but they aren't your family. You deserve so much better. I cut them off, but you do you. If they loved you as much as you deserved and should have been loved, You wouldn't have to deal with her from the first time you spoke to your aunt. Thank you for putting this into words so well. It took me years to internalize the fact that it shouldn't have continued from the moment I told them what was happening. I can't imagine looking the other way if a teenager came to me with that info. You allowed a drunk to abuse a child and let it go on into adulthood. At any point, they could have arrested her. They could have taken you in after 18 and not allowed your father and stepmom to come. They were the guilty parties, her for being a drunk and him for being a spineless a hole. I would simply say families protect and support each other. You failed me in both regards. Their argument is that since I was in high school, I wasn't really a child anymore. They basically told me, you weren't a kid, so we figured you could navigate it since you were more mature than her stepmom. They chose her and their dislike of confrontation over you for the last 20 years. Now it's your turn to choose. Screw that. You have only one family? Bullcrap. That is so manipulative. Just because you're related by blood doesn't make a family, clearly. Agree 100%. I chose my family. I love my biological family from a distance because we clash. So what do I do instead? I pretty much adopted my best friend's family. I go to their house on holidays and to get-togethers because they make me feel welcomed and loved. Not all families are blood, and not all blood is family. I'm Queen Petty. If my uncle told me this bullcrap, I would have told them, you have only one family, and you've made it clear she was yours. I've moved on, and you should too. If they come at you with blood is forever, I would just kindly remind them that they forgot that she was laying hands on me. I'm also disgusted by your father allowing you to be abused and saying nothing, to the point that you had to cut him off. My own brother assaulted me. This is my father's son, not my mom's. He kicked him out of the house and told him he will always love him, but for what he did, he will end him if he comes around me. Throw the whole family away. I hope you have a great family. You are worthy of love and protection, and your presence is a gift only worthy of those who value it. Just from what you've written here, I don't see how you could know that this horrible woman wouldn't just show up anyways, especially if she caught wind that you were going to be there. If she does, the pattern is going to repeat. She's going to come after you, and they're going to stand back and watch it happen. That's not family. Just being blood-related doesn't make you family. Family protects each other, no matter what the consequences are. In no meaningful way that they show any love for you besides just saying they do. That's not enough. You've given them so many chances already. Ultimately, reconnecting with them is up to you, but in my opinion, they abandoned you too many times to trust them ever again. The moment some conflict pops up, even if it isn't related to the horrible woman, they will not have your back. Next story. My mother continuously locks the door when I'm home due to something that happened over 20 years ago. First time posting here, and I'm really unsure what to do. My 30-year-old female mother, 58-year-old female, has been locking the door to her bedroom and office whenever I'm visiting. No matter what my dad and I say, some context, when I was 8, I was a kid with undiagnosed autism and ADHD. For probably a month and a half, I would sneak into their room and take 50-cent pieces from their collection. When I was caught, they would lock the door to their room. For some reason, Kid Me took that as a challenge to see how I could get in. This went on for another few weeks before I finally learned that, hey, this isn't cool. I haven't taken a thing from them since, besides maybe a pen or something that I forgot to give back. But she told me that she would never trust me again and has been locking the door ever since. I turn 31 soon, and she still does it even to this day. I've asked my dad what he thinks, and he thinks she's being unreasonable, especially because A, I'm a grown adult, and B, I haven't stolen anything in literally 22 years. But my mom gets angry and rubs the fact that I stole from her when I was 8 in my face. More context, she also makes random snide remarks at me if I say something wrong. I'm a truck driver, and she once asked me if I would move their stuff across the country for free because they're family. When I said no, that stuff requires money and whatnot, she said, "You better be careful what you say because that could come back and bite you in the future." I'm at the end of my rope. They want me to visit for holidays. I really want to because I love my dad, but I also don't want to deal with her anymore. I guess I need suggestions on what to do. Don't give her the kind of attention she's clearly craving. She's told you that she does not care whether you come over or not. You do not like who she is. You love your dad and would still like to come over to visit. Whenever you're over, just focus on your dad. I don't mean straight up pretending like she doesn't exist, but when she makes snide remarks and stuff, just say okay and go back to talking to your dad or whatever. Passive-aggressive people like to get their reaction out of people. It's not about you wanting access to their bedroom. It's about the gesture. Your mom going out of her way to show you that she's holding a grudge against what her own child did when the kid was 8. Jesus Christ, people, some of these comments. I'm really sorry, original poster. It must hurt knowing your parents don't like you. It's not only the door locking. Your mother told you she doesn't care if you visit her or not. No loving mother would ever make such a statement because she caught her daughter nicking some coins when she was 8 years old. As others have suggested, stop trying to make amends with her or convince her you have changed. It's not worth it. Focus on your father. You sound like you have a loving and trustful relationship, given the love your mother doesn't seem to want. Her loss. Ignore her passive-aggressiveness and put up with her petty crap just to see him. Visit for the holidays and then suggest activities you and your father can enjoy together. The mother can do whatever she wants. Wish you the best of luck. Your mom sounds toxic. More distance, the better. Express to her you think it's stupid and she needs to get over it, or you aren't coming home around anymore because you feel like it's pointless to worry about now. I have, and she straight up told me that she doesn't care whether I do or not. I would stop visiting, but I absolutely adore my dad and want to see him. Well, there's your problem. She obviously doesn't care for you that much then. You could always schedule ways to see your dad outside of the house if needed. Yeah, Ma, your autistic kid stole some coins from you when he was 8, so it was totally appropriate to treat him like a criminal for the rest of his life. Seems totally reasonable. You don't have to stay with them when you visit. You can stay in a hotel and never lay eyes on her precious office. Then you can also simply disengage and go back to your hotel if she says nasty things to you or just hang out with your dad elsewhere. If they want to know why you've changed the way you visit, you can be honest about the way her behavior makes you feel and why it has caused you to take a step back. Okay, so your mom doesn't seem to be that great of a person if she's holding $2.50 over your head for 22 years. So, the petty a hole that I am would stop by a bank and trade in $20 for 50-cent coins every single visit. I'd either secretly leave her a 50-cent coin lying around for her to just find with no explanation and deny any knowledge on where they came from, or I passive-aggressively allude to somehow getting it from her room before giving her the coin while leaving. Next story. Me, 21 female, and my boyfriend, 33 male, have been dating for around a year and a half. I love him a lot, and it's been good, except I feel like I can't hang out with my friends anymore. When we met, I was definitely in a party phase, and I slowed down significantly when we were officially dating. But my friends, even in relationships, all still go out occasionally in between school and work schedules. My boyfriend says he thinks bars are very disrespectful to our relationship, and I can see that. I'd be lying if I said I don't miss just going out for a couple of drinks as a girls' night, But I understand he thinks it's inappropriate and he's just wanting me to be safe. He says he's worried about other guys and doesn't trust them, but trusts me. The problem is, though, anytime my friends invite me to something that's not bars, he seems to get upset. Like they invited me to go to a concert, game, etc., and he says things like that I think he would enjoy. I should ask him first before agreeing to him, but I know he'll always say yes and get upset if I don't. I don't think he realizes that his whole mood changes when I mention hanging out with my friends without him. My friends and I already have super busy schedules, so it's hard to hang out, and I hate not being able to say just yes to the idea. The last time I brought it up, it turned into a big problem, and he kept saying things like, "Sorry, I'm just selfish. You just want to live the single life. You just never want to do things with me." I always try to plan out fun things or mention date ideas. I'm always with him, and I love him, and I don't want him to think I don't like hanging out with him, but I miss my friends and having an identity outside of our relationship. How do I talk to him about how I feel in a gentle way that won't spark an argument? I'm not really sure if it notifies people with edits. I've never really used Reddit before, but thank you everyone for your insight. I was physically sick reading everything and had to take a break last night because I've been really oblivious to red flags that have put a lot of you in bad situations, and I guess put me in a bad situation that I didn't really realize. We had a huge argument last night that didn't go well at all, and some things you all said might eventually happen. So I'm going to try to end the relationship and go to the leasing office to try to break the lease we had signed just a few weeks ago. I really do appreciate your time to try to help me. I already know you're going to get a lot of the same kind of answers as mine in the comments. The reason is because so many of us have been in this position. It's just so familiar. First of all, when you say he doesn't realize his mood changes when you tell him what you want to do, he does. He's not stupid. He knows if he reacts that way, you'll see his reaction and back down. And he knows you're non-confrontational, so he'll keep trying to subtly get his way and pretend to you and himself that the reason he's reacting this way is for your safety, or that bars are disrespectful to your relationship, which is, Jesus Christ, the absolute biggest pile of crap. This guy should be a boxer. His reach is unbelievable. What he is doing is getting what he wants from a person who loves him, who hasn't learned that conflict is healthy. You are agreeable in relationships. You need to work on that. Boundaries are good. They prevent resentment and indicate and bolster respect. Communication is love. Trust is love. He's manipulating you. Because he's arguing in bad faith, and he knows, because you love him and it has worked so far, that he can get away with it. It's not mean-spirited. What he's doing is working, so he is going to keep doing it as long as he can and use any guilt trick he can to use it to keep going. Your relationship will not work if you're not an individual. Your relationship will not work unless you take care of yourself. That includes your social connections. Your relationship will not work if you become isolated and don't socialize and have friends. Your relationship will not work if you feel like you have missed out on your youth. Your relationship will not work if your partner does not demonstrate respect to you in any way that suits you, not just him. Any compromise must go both ways and can't be based on his fears. He knows this. He's been married. He knows it. At the moment, this situation is on track to ruin your relationship and make you very, very sad, and you're missing out on fun and social connection and inclusion. In the moment, it feels like love to give in to him and say, no, it isn't. It's weakness. But it's hard to be firm with someone who is actively trying to manipulate the situation so you feel trapped into his choices so you can stay in the relationship. This is not love. If you want to broach this with him, tell him he is free to socialize with his friends if he wants to. You don't restrict his movements. If he trusts you, that should be enough. Your friends have partners, and they understand that their partners have their own lives outside of their relationships. You're not in any more danger than they are. Why should you be treated differently? If he makes some excuse to you, say you understand he feels that way, but you simply disagree. You're young and want a social life. If he insists on trying to punish you emotionally for expecting the same treatment and freedom as your friends, then you might need to consider the relationship yourself. Also, he's way too old for you. It's fine if a partner is old, but he's clearly using his life experience against you rather than it complementing your lives. If he has trust issues, he needs a therapist, not a girlfriend a decade younger than him. There's no standard for this man to treat you well. Well, there is, but he's ignoring it. That doesn't make you dumb. It makes him immature. Long term, I can't see it, but it's up to you and I don't know your life. Good luck. He's controlling. Don't put up with his crap because it will only get worse over time. Anytime someone is trying to prevent you from hanging out with your friends or family, you should cut that person out of your life.